What's happening, everybody? I'm super excited today. I get to meet with one of my favorite people and one of my partners here at EXP. And I'm just going to introduce Mr. GIL Ramos, the biggest team in the Southeast for Zillow. He's also the CEO of the great team. And 5 consecutive years in a row prior to coming to EXP, he had the biggest franchise of Exit Success Realty. And just to give clarity, I'm going to add him in here just to make sure I said all that right.
That's all right, man. It was close. Most of it was close. Yeah, I ran the largest single office for Exit 5 years in a row. Everything was going great, and then we saw this EXP thing. We're like, holy mackerel, we got to take a look at this.
Awesome. And are you happy that you're here?
Hey man, my family's happy. My wife is happy. We've made this decision, and it's impacted us in a way we never saw coming. The culture is amazing. I can't stop talking about it, to be honest with you.
That's me too.
Dude, I love your layout, man. Like you got like a man cave look going on over there. That's pretty cool.
The shiplap wall, that was all the wife's design. Every last piece of that. I love that wall.
Oh yeah, man, it makes a big difference. I love it.
Heck yeah. And you kind of noted on something that's really important to me. The ability, or what drew me to EXP most, was the collaboration of everybody. Everybody sharing with each other, growth. You above all others, I feel like you spoke to me the first time I ever saw you, just in a sense of the way that you look at this, like hold it accountable, make sure you know what you're doing this for. Your family comes first, and then it was the first place that you went to just now when I asked that question. So it was kind of cool to hear you say that.
Yeah, I've been in this industry for a long time. My father was in the industry before, and for the first time in history, I really feel that there's a company that has taken, the consumer experience and the agent experience and said, we're going to put that first and foremost, right? And by doing that, when you start building a company, you say, hey, we want to put the agent first. You start getting these things like, well, what if an agent can build any company for real estate? What would they want it? They would want the best world-class training. They would want an incredible logo. They would want healthcare. They would want, a systematic ways for you to retire through revenue share, through stock ownership. Like everything that the agent could put on their wish board, EXP said, we're going to do that. We're going to make that happen.
It's nuts. It's truly nuts. And I don't know about you, but I keep finding things I didn't even know about. I'm like, like each week I kind of tap into something that's there that I didn't even know was there.
Yeah. I mean, you can go in. I'll be honest with you. One of the reasons I at first, when I started looking at EXP, was I looked at it and I was like, I don't know about this whole thing. It was the EXP world, right? You go in this little world and they have these avatars and you start walking around, and I was like, this is a little kooky. And then I was like, this thing's amazing, right? I mean, now I understand why so many companies lease our software at EXP. The military is leasing it. I understand some universities are leasing it now. I also understand that they're installing it in HP computers in other countries. It's just a very, very powerful software. And we found out in COVID that could help us get really, really dialed in, really connected, versus what I think a lot of other brokerages do is where they say, okay, hey, let's go on this Zoom call. And, it's kind of clunky and stuff like that. I think the personalization, the live interaction makes a big, big difference. And it's continuing to evolve. I'm super excited to see how that evolves. But it's like every time I go in the world, there's just something else there. It's like this new tool, this new resource that allows us to be able to be even more productive in the eyes of our clients.
Absolutely. And then I think it was yesterday. Did you get your first copy of Success?
Oh, I love when those things come in, man.
Yep.
I was actually getting those before EXP purchased Success Magazine.
Really?
Yeah, so I was already a subscriber, and then one day all of a sudden EXP was on the cover, and I'm like, wow, like this is cool. And I was like, oh, we bought the magazine. So yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Awesome. Well, one of the reasons that I wanted to have you on, and the topic I wanted to talk about, is one of the things when I listen to you speak that you've done a lot. I could tell you've done a lot of self-development on breaking down the crap that we're told as we're growing up, right? Like all the things that limit our minds on not, this isn't about real estate, this is about life. Like this is
Right.
about seeing what you want to accomplish and seeing it clearly. And through a bunch of different things, the clarity report is incredible. That's a great tool. But I'd love for you to speak for a little bit about how you discovered that and how it started with you to start breaking that down.
You know, I think the real estate license allows us to be on. It's kind of like a license for growth, right? Because there's, I mean, when you start talking about like the opportunity that you have when you're real estate license, I mean, think about this. There's almost hundreds or even thousands of niches you can be in. Like you can be a commercial agent, you can be a luxury agent, you can work with people who are relocating from a different country, people who are down payment or what I like to call last home time buyers, people who are retiring. You can work with, just about any market. You can be an investor, long-term, short-term, flipper. I mean, there's so many pools and stuff like that. So what we really find out is that as you go through this journey of being a real estate agent, you're really growing, right? And that's one of the 6 needs that Tony Robbins talks about. Like, and it gets you excited. It's like every time you wake up, it's like there's a new opportunity. People are pretty complex anyway. So every time you deal with a person, they've got new things they're bringing on. Builders are putting new stuff on there. So every single day, there's an opportunity for you to either earn or learn. And, I think that, I didn't see that coming when I first came into real estate. I thought it was just a sales job. I thought I was just going to go out there and just, take product A, give it to consumer B, and 30, 45 days later, pick up a check. But what you find out, especially if you go all in on real estate, you find out that, we're changing people's lives, right? We're creating generational wealth. We're helping people find security. We're doing so much more than selling a product. And to be of value to the consumer at the highest level, well, then you've got to make sure you're filling yourself as well. So, you see a lot of the top agents in the world who are subscribing to I was going to go see Chris Voss in a couple of days from now. The guy who wrote, I think I've got it right here. Never Split the Difference. One great book right there. It says, negotiating as if your life depended on it. I think the consumer wants to make sure that the agent has that capability. But I've been a Tony, through this, I became a Tony Robbins fan, walked on fire, 6 or 7 times now. Went to Fiji on this private island resort with my wife, and we went through and we jumped off of, like, we've done just about every crazy thing in there. What that really does is just kind of stretch you, right? And when you get into that mindset, you realize it's like you can pretty much do anything. And then you just kind of keep conquering, you do bigger deals and bigger deals and bigger deals and bigger deals. And the growth just never stops. And you're in this, what Tony talks about, a constant and never ending improvement. And then you just become that. I think that's the epitome of someone who's high level sales. They just become a growth junkie, if you will.
And the only thing I really want to add in there that it lines up real well with what you're doing is the when you love people, you kind of you find that way for growth. Because I mean, for me, it started with, how can I help as many people as I can? Or really, it was the first sale. Like, holy crap, there's a huge lack here, and I want to make sure that people get the right treatment, that they get the right service that's involved. And from there, it evolves to, okay, how do I help as many people as possible? Next step is you run out of people, you run out of time. And then that's where the real growth starts to come, is when you start to, through you guys, I've learned how to create a team. I mean, I've got 2 employees, I've got 2 agents on the team, and everybody's thriving. And
yeah, listen, if there's one skill you've got to learn if you're going to be in real estate, is how to work with people, right? And not just the people that, the consumer, but your other agents, right? That we can actually accomplish more without being adversarial. Never understood that whole concept. My wife is an attorney, right? And, she's an award-winning attorney, and I kind of sometimes hear how she kind of goes through it. And not everything has to be a big fight, right? You can get a lot more with honey. So, knowing how to negotiate and work with people and get people what they really want. You mentioned something, James, that I think is pretty interesting. I think I've heard a lot of people say, I love people, right? And, I thought about that just recently, because I was actually, I don't know if you know, Ozzy just joined our team from Ask Ozzy. And he said, I love people. And I thought to myself, I was like, if I had to say, enhance that a little bit, because I'm not sure I love people like a general statement, but I love what people represent. I love the opportunity. I love when people are growing. I love to see a guy like you go through and like go from like an idea into action. I mean, like this show you're doing right now. It's like,
Crazy.
go back 1 year. I mean, were you even thinking like this? And that I
Yeah.
think that's what really excites me. That's what ignites me to do what I do. And it just keeps you young and keeps you excited, keeps you want to keep moving forward, because there's always somebody else you can help in one way or another.
I love that. I love that evolution of it right there, because then you're seeing what you want, and you're
Mm.
seeing what it is that gets you most excited.
Yeah.
And everybody, I mean, to each their own, right? But this organization, the people who are tuned in, the people who are helping, they all love people. It just, they're forward thinking in the sense that I love people to death. But if my brother calls me in the middle of the day, in the middle of an appointment, I got to call him back. Like, I mean, it's just the way that it is, and your time kind of gets broken down to where, in order to help people, it helps to be in an organization where each other, the value is lasting. This second that you invest in me is going to translate over time.
Yeah, and here's the funny thing about this is because like I think that the best agents out there, what they come to realize over time is, how do you take your brother's call while you're at an appointment? Like, how do you figure that out? Like, how do you build a business where you actually have some balance? And first off, I think balance is kind of an illusion. There's a lot of gurus out there talking about balance and balance and balance. But it's just about forward thinking about the things that are important to you, making sure that your loved ones are on your calendar too, right? Too often, as a real estate agent or I don't care what industry, if you're really good at what you do, your calendar's super, super busy. And, I'd be ashamed to show my kid my calendar and not have, his name in my calendar, or like, things and stuff, things that we've planned together. Like, what are we doing? Right.
Yep.
What's happening on Saturday? Right.
What it's all about.
I think that takes away some of the guilt when your brother calls you and, you can't take that call, right? Because you're already having a great relationship where you're talking with them. So you buy a little bit of, credits with them, right? So, making sure you're putting plenty of deposits in those people that you love. So this way, when you can't be with them, you don't go negative on your bank account with them, right?
That's very true. My brother would never follow a schedule though.
I hear you. But, just making sure that you put time for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome, man. I really appreciate it.
For you, man. I mean, I've seen you kind of evolve in a short period of time. I mean, this looks excellent. Like, what have you grown? How have you grown since the last time I met you?
Well, I try to move a little slow to move fast. Like when I'm making decisions, because all of a sudden the decisions I make on a weekly basis have been magnified. I've learned a lot about really helping people reach their goals, like the motivational coaching for getting people over the hump of call reluctance. The growth is I almost like feel guilty when I don't know why, but we're way ahead of our goal right now. I set a goal out to do 100 transactions, and we're actually ahead of it. And with the seasonality, we might break that goal.
You say you felt guilty about that?
Just saying it. I don't know why. Why would I feel guilty?
Man, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Congratulations. I mean, that's the testament of you as a leader. So, obviously, good people find good people. So, I mean, you must have an incredible team. So shout out to your team there, or, the Adams Group, and the Adams Group experience. But like, you as a person, you've kind of like evolved from like what's possible, right? You kind of, it's not just, A and B transactions, right? There's a bit more complexity to what we're trying to accomplish, again, to improve the consumer experience, to improve the agent experience, right? So how else do you think you've changed?
That's a tough question to even get started on. Like my brain starts popping into different things, and I don't want to just find the thing to say. The value of decisions is really big, but what it's really evolved from is understanding. It brings me back to the seed. So like the seed was the first person I ever helped went through a situation that was very scary, and it was produced through our industry. And through that was immediately, I like, whether it's like, you know, I wanted to be the hero, I wanted to save the day, whatever it was, I was like, wow, no. Like, and within a month, I felt like I was already ahead of the curve. Like I knew the steps to take on the contract. I knew where my boundaries were going through the process, and ramping all the way up to today. I think one of my biggest goals is to, whether somebody's at EXP or not, and a lot of people watching this video know that I will always walk through a situation with an agent, and always walk through like, what were the different ways that we could have taken this? If I lose on an offer, I want to know how to fix it. And the reason being is I want everybody, the entire real estate community, to kind of raise their level. Like, we're not just opening a door here. What you said in the beginning is very true. This is something that is an opportunity for people, especially for first-time home buyers, to build a tremendous amount of equity. And if they start in the right position, that's a lot different than if they start 10,000 behind. And in a market like this, data, we have to know our data. Like, you have to know where that house is sitting, because I mean, 10 to 50 offers on each house, you can't miss.
No. I mean, now more than ever, the consumer needs to be working with a high level agent, because, you know, it's not just paper pushing anymore. You've got to be very strategic. The saying goes, you know, sometimes it might be just who you know, right? Relationships you've built over time, and the goodwill you've done in the real estate market may come back to help you win an offer for your client, right?
Absolutely.
If that's who you've been all this time. So it's an incredible opportunity for someone to get in the market or transition in the market right now. So you chose the title "Grow with the Age," and I'm afraid that you're talking about my gray hair or the fact that, you know, now, I'm not sure. Like, so tell me what you're, expand on that idea.
So the Adams Group Experience is our team name, and I've branded it to try to show people how I walk somebody through an experience. And growing with the age is just signifying that I want people to see the mission. The mission is to be better, to take people through this responsibly, to not just go open a door, sit down with your client and go through the right process, prepare them for battle. This past weekend, we walked into, there was 2 showings, and one of them was a sight unseen offer. Him and I had never met eye to eye, but we went through the terms of the contract and how to utilize them. And even though he was an FHA buyer, we won over higher offers, 2 that were better financing terms at the same price that we were. And the reason being is that we talked about the terms, we worked through it. Same with the other one. We walked in and they said, "James, I have to have this house." And it was a newer built home, and I showed him how to do that. And it was, I mean, honestly, one of the most powerful thing you can do in our contract is waive the right to cancel. If you waive the right to cancel, that's kind of,
You're
that's
committed.
a little bit, yeah, that's leverage. That's the only way you can leverage in this market. But that's what this is all about, is showing people. I feel like when my customers get done, they know that they went through a different experience. And I love taking somebody who had a warped perception of what we do and leaving them in a place where all of a sudden they love realtors and they love me and they love our team. And that's a beautiful thing when you take that consumer that's been jaded and you turn them around on the backside.
Yeah,
so that's the age.
That's outstanding, man. I mean, I personally do get a high on that too. When, you know, I work with a client who maybe had, you know, not so great experience somewhere else, and I can kind of show them, you know, there's a different way of buying homes when you're working with a true professional. And, you know, I think that in this market with so many agents going through and being one of those 30 or 40 offers that are not winning, you can get to a point where people become a little desperate, or they work with someone like you where you can sit back and say, "Hey, you know what? Let's actually create a strategy. We're not just going to go blitz this. Let's follow a proven, repeatable system to get your offer to be accepted," right? So we're going to take a few minutes right now. We're going to game plan here. We're going to take a look at our situation. Okay, we're not the sexiest offer right now. So what are we going to do to make sure that the seller feels more comfortable taking our offer? So I salute you. Congratulations to your client who followed your lead there, because, you know, getting an FHA offer approved isn't that easy. So kudos to you.
Heck yeah, yeah. 3 or 4 of the ones we have pending right now are FHA on resales.
Good deal.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. And 2 of them are with Karen on our team. She did a great job, and I mean, no matter what, no matter how crafty you are with the terms, it's a little bit of a battle, FHA, because you're against
Yeah.
cash conventional.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but she did a great job, and she learned how to really, with some of the things that you do to mess with, or not mess with, but to use the terms to your best, to make it the best offer, is built off of trust. It really starts with the trust, where they're listening to advice, and instead of just, oh yeah, I want to offer 250. Well, it's a little more complicated than that. We got to go through it.
Right. Right. I mean, you know, I don't think I'm getting that many consumers right now that are unaware that the market is hot, but like, 8 clients who come in who may be unaware of how hot the market is, and are like, what, let's just offer them, and it's like, and they're using the list price as like the bar of what they want, and they think that, the craziest thing is that the consumer thinks that the list price actually is
The ceiling.
it actually really means something. To be very frank with you, I almost look like when you go to a store and you see like the manufacturer's retail suggested price, like, okay, that might be a starting point. But when you're working with a great agent, I think the difference is they'll let you know, it's like, what, that's a suggestion. To be very frank with you, that agent could have overpriced that property by $50,000, or they could have underpriced it by $50,000, right? I mean, I've seen that before. And, it's like, hey, listen, let's just give them exactly what they're asking for, because they underpriced the heck out of this property, right?
Yep.
A property at $600,000 and it's off, 5%. That's a significant amount of equity they left on the table. So, I always take a look at that. We take a look at the comps. We get an idea of what we want to offer, right, to ensure their family gets, a good deal. And sometimes, in this market, maybe paying a little extra might be worth the deal, especially when you have an ascending market. I mean, if we look at the end of this year and let's say the market appreciated 8%, right? That means if you broke it down throughout the year, every quarter the market went up 2%, right? Every 90 days you didn't buy, the house has got more expensive by 2%. So maybe just paying a little extra right now to acquire that property in an ascending market might be the best deal on in your market, right? In your zip code or in the area that you're in. So like, sitting down and having a strategic plan rather than just doing what unfortunately a lot of consumers do. They look at pictures on a screen this big and they drive by and they try to make a decision, or they work with like an agent who's like a family member or something like that, who probably doesn't have a lot of experience, not a full-time passionate realtor, and they're making decisions, and sometimes it's not in their best interest. And we're working with a lot of clients right now that had worked with someone like that, and then they end up coming onto my team, and we kind of okay, let's stop the process, let's take a little moment to educate you about how to win this market, and here's all the strategies that we can use. Which strategies do you want to use, right? And then the sales price is just one thing, right? Is how do you win on the back end of the offer, right? Yep. Sales price is just a piece of that. It's the entire concept that we're looking for, to protect you through that process.
Absolutely, I love that. I love that. Well, hey man, I'm not going to take up any more of your time. Just to wrap this, like the topic up. So when you see yourself slipping and like you're falling below what you want to hold yourself accountable to, how do you kick yourself back in and say, Gil, hey man, listen, we got to get back to it. We got to get back on it.
I'm going to tell you that that happens when I'm off my routine, right? So when I wake up and I don't go straight to stretching out and working out and do some reading, I love listening to YouTube and I got some playlists of motivation stuff and some incantations that I do. The days that for whatever reason I get rushed out and I don't go through that process, and if that happens more than one day in a row, I can realize, okay, something's just not right with me. And it's that pattern of success that I've built over the years of like, this is how I get my mind right. This is how I get my body right. and I put myself in a position to win. So like, it's usually pretty obvious. Like I get tired early in the evening or something of that nature because I just didn't put myself in the, I didn't put get my vitamins right, get my body right. It's like, and I started getting sluggish, and I realized that, okay, I got to double down on some of the things that got me here, right? So it's funny, it's almost an automatic, right? On the days that I go through and I start my morning with some winning principles, and it's obvious, right? I mean, we see every single person from Oprah to Jordan to Bezos. Everybody has a morning ritual, but when I'm off that ritual, it shows itself somewhere through that day. With like a yawn, or maybe it's just like I missed my exit. I don't know, something. But on those days that I'm right on point, I get up, boom, I drink my water, boom, take vitamins, boom, stretch, workout, blah blah blah. Every single time I'm on my game, I'm on my game for the rest of the day. So
Love it.
all I do is I just go back to my habit, right? Go back to, and I got that from a girl. I used to be in a bowling team at Florida State, just like a, not for Florida State, just kind of as a recreational. And there was a girl, in her incantation that she used to walk and hold the ball, do what you do when you're doing it right. And she would say that as she walked down to bowl. So we walk up there, do what you do when you're doing it right. Do what you do when you're doing it right. And I just kind of like stole that and started adopting that for other things, right? Because when you're doing it right, you just know it. It feels good. Things come out right.
Yep.
But when you're not doing it right, you know that too. So just when you get off your game, just go back to doing what you do. Do what you do when you're doing it right. Just go back to your fundamentals, whatever it is for you.
I love that. Relates a lot to pool for me. So that works out perfect.
Cool.
Heck yeah, man. I appreciate your time. Thank you so much. And I'd love to do it again soon.
Yeah, well, first off, kudos to you and your team crushing your goals, man. Look forward to seeing you guys again soon, and I'll see you soon. Take care.
Awesome. Thank you.